Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dive into a super important skill for anyone who deals with data, database normalization. You can think of it as the ultimate cleanup for your information, turning what could be a total mess into something beautifully organized. So let's see how it's done.
At first glance, a database might look totally fine. You've got your data, you can read from it, you can write to it. What's the problem? Well, hiding just under the surface of a poorly designed database are some pretty serious problems just waiting to happen.
Okay, let's take this table here, enrollment details. It seems logical enough, right? We're just storing everything about a student's enrollment in one convenient place. But look a little closer. See how the name Petrenko OV is listed twice? And the details for Intro to Programming also duplicated? This repetition, this redundancy, this is our first huge red flag.
So what's the big deal? A little bit of extra data? Who cares? Well, this duplication might seem harmless, but it's actually the root cause of what people in the biz call anomalies. And trust me, they can seriously wreck your data's integrity.
Yeah, we're not just talking about little headaches here. This kind of messy table design is basically an open invitation for 3 different types of critical errors, or as we're calling them, anomalies. Let's break them down, one by one.
First up, we've got the insertion anomaly. This one's kind of sneaky. It's a problem where the very structure of your table stops you from adding information that is perfectly valid. This slide shows you exactly what I'm talking about. Let's say we want to add a brand new course, algorithms, but no students have signed up for it yet. Well, with this table, we can't. Because the student ID is a key part of the table, it just can't be empty. The database will flat out reject the entry and we're just stuck. And that really gets to the heart of the problem, doesn't it? Our data structure has accidentally created this totally nonsensical rule. You can't even add a course to the catalog until at least one person enrolls. That's a huge design flaw.
All right, next up is the update anomaly. This is what happens when you need to change just one piece of information. But because it's copied all over the place, you have to go on a scavenger hunt to find every single instance of it.
Just imagine Instructor Ivanov changes his name to Davydenko. Now, to update our database, we have to find every single row where his name shows up and change it. And if we miss just one, like you see here, our data is now totally inconsistent. So who teaches CS 101? Is it Ivanov or is it Davydenko? The database has no idea. The key thing to understand here is that this isn't just messy, it's a direct violation of data integrity. Your database now holds conflicting information about a real-world fact, and that can lead to some really serious bugs in your application. And finally, we have the deletion anomaly. This one is especially dangerous because when you delete one piece of information, you can accidentally wipe out other, totally unrelated data along with it. Okay, let's say student Petrenko is done with discrete math, and we want to remove that enrollment record. Now watch what happens. Since Petrenko was the only student in that class, when we delete this row, we don't just lose the enrollment. We lose every shred of information that the discrete math course even existed and that Kovalenko taught it. It's just gone, vanished. And this really drives home the serious consequences. We did a simple, logical thing, deleting an enrollment, and in the process, we accidentally destroyed vital information about our courses and instructors. Not good. Okay, so we've seen the disasters. How in the world do we fix this mess? Well, the solution isn't just random guesswork. The secret is actually uncovering the logical rules that are already hiding inside our data. And the main tool used to find these rules is something called functional dependency. Now, it sounds fancy, but it's a really simple, powerful idea. It just means that if you know the value of A, you can uniquely figure out the value of B. That's it. And this concept is the absolute foundation of normalization. So let's look at our messy table and pull out these rules. It's actually pretty intuitive when you think about it. A student's ID points directly to their name. A course ID tells you the course name and who's teaching it. And to know a grade, you need to know both the student ID and the course ID. These dependencies, right here, they're our blueprint for the fix. All right, with our blueprint of functional dependencies in hand, we can finally start the formal process of fixing our table. This structured, step-by-step cleanup, that's what we call normalization. For almost everything you'll ever do, normalization is a journey through 3 main stages, or normal forms. Each form tackles a very specific type of problem, getting us one step closer to a clean, anomaly-free database. So, let's walk the path.
First normal form, or 1NF, is basically the starting line. It just means that every single cell in your table has to hold a single, indivisible value. No lists, no complex objects, just one thing. Our example table already follows this rule, so hey, we're already in 1NF. Now for the real work, getting to second normal form.
So to get to second normal form, or 2NF, we have to fix something called partial dependencies. This happens when an attribute depends on only part of the primary key. In our table, the student underscore name only depends on student ID, not the whole student ID plus course ID key. Same goes for course name and instructor name. So what do? We split the table. Everything that depends only on the student ID goes into a new students table. Everything that depends only on the course ID goes into a courses table. And that leaves our enrollments table with just the grade, which depends on the full key. Much cleaner.
But wait, we're not quite done. Take a look at our new courses table. There's still a sneaky little problem in there called a transitive dependency. This is when one non-key attribute determines another non-key attribute. Here, the instructor name depends on the course ID, but only indirectly, right? The course points to an instructor. So to fix this and reach the glorious third normal form, or 3NF, we split it one more time. We create a dedicated instructors table. And now, every attribute in every table depends only on that table's primary key. Beautiful.
Now, technically, the journey doesn't have to stop at 3NF. There are higher normal forms out there, things like BCNF, 4NF, and 5NF, that solve some very specific, more complex data problems. But honestly, for the vast majority of real-world applications, getting to 3NF is the gold standard. It eliminates almost all of the common anomalies you're ever going to run into.
Okay, so we just spent all this time perfectly organizing our data. We've achieved total database zen. But here's the big twist. Sometimes, for performance reasons, you might need to strategically and very carefully break these rules. This is a concept called denormalization.
It all comes down to this one fundamental trade-off. Normalization gives you absolutely pristine data integrity. But to get a complete picture of your data, you often need to join multiple tables together, and that can be slow. Denormalization, on the other hand, means you intentionally add back a little bit of that controlled redundancy to make your most common read queries absolutely fly. It's a constant balancing act between purity and performance.
Look, normalization should always be your starting point, your foundation for a well-designed database. But the ultimate goal is to build a system that works great in the real world. So the real question you have to ask yourself is this: for your project, for what you're building, where is that perfect balance between data purity and the practical need for speed? Thanks for tuning in.